Welcome to the Bombadcast.
Finally, a time Jerry has been waiting for. The discussion that I'm so excited to have. Ghostbusters 1984. I can't believe it, dude. And it's so funny. So for anyone listening right now or watching right now, we just finished watching it. And fresh off our minds.
We're
Jerry,
fresh.
how often do you watch this movie? Be real. Be so honest.
Well, I told you on our rewatch that when I got home from work today, I just threw it on and hopped in the shower. So it's pretty casual for me at this point. This movie is instant serotonin for me, and I have been waiting. I'm ready right now to talk about this. I've got my ectoplasm right here off to the side. My ecto cooler. I have
What's it made of?
My hot beverage thermal mug and free balloons for the kids, which I know that's a 2 reference, but it's okay, kids. This is actually a recipe that I got from ghostbustersnews.com. Go check them out, kids. They're actually a great source of news. They've got a nice YouTube channel. But anyway, this is Minute Maid lemonade, Tampico citrus punch, and the enough neon green food coloring to kill a moose.
There you go. Perfect.
And also, I put a little gin in mine, kids. So
yes,
I like now I put it in the glass. I got a whole thing there. Like, you know, I can completely poison my kid with food coloring when she comes over.
Course.
In that. So it's perfectly fine. We're all fine here. Anyway, Ghostbusters, though. We're here to talk about Ghostbusters.
What's that background? What's that? What is that background sign? What is
this right here? This is the iconic Ghostbusters No Ghost logo that hangs above their. That's the one from the movie, actually.
What?
No. Scotty got this. This is a birthday present from Scotty and Katie.
Yes,
and I'm absolutely just enamored with it. It's one of my favorite things ever. So.
It really is a great gift. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say
I was so happy to give that to you because Katie and I talked about it for a minute. We're like, what are we gonna get him for his birthday this year? I'm like, oh, I know the perfect gift. Look at the everything Ghostbusters, the mug. Hey, I had to show you something. I was waiting to show you this live on recording. Check this out.
Oh, nice. My entire set has slowly just become Ghostbusters. What is that?
It is the Atari 2600 game, which is not that game.
Fucking insane.
Isn't that cool? Look at the old.
It's so insane.
It looks nice and like smoked on. You know what I mean?
Like, exactly. It looks like it smells. Yeah. So that smells like a pack of Pall Malls.
Isn't like nice and yellowed? Isn't that kind of cool?
It's so good. See, I love the simplicity and everything. It's why. Okay, so
Activision has not changed its logo.
They just didn't. No, they have not. Activision has just stayed true. I love the simplicity of just the No Ghost logo. That's why I had to get. This was like the I believe 35th anniversary, and it's a reprint 4K Ultra HD that'll be coming out. And by the way, we will during this Ecto time be giving away digital codes for Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
Yes,
we might do that. We might do that like maybe a couple weeks before the movie comes out, just to make sure you can get ready for the film.
We have a couple live streams. And for those that are listening audio, we'll say it here. This is what you're listening today is February 27th, which is where we talk about Ghostbusters 1. And as the months go on February 29th, which is a Thursday, we're going to have the Ghostbusters 2 live discussion. And then we've got March 5th, Ghostbusters music discussion, the soundtrack and the music. On March 7th, Ghostbusters Lost Media, which we're with the cartoons there and a lot of weird things we found, or Jerry found really. On March 12th, Ghostbusters 2016. It's going to be a podcast discussion about the infamous all-female remake of the movie with Chris Hemsworth. Then we've got on Pi Day 3/14, March 14th, Thursday, it'll be a live show where we talk about Ghostbusters game 2009. And then, of course, leading up to it, I think we'll probably end up doing that giveaway maybe during the video game or the Lost Media stream, because we need to find. Yeah, we might do a wheel if you're in the live chat that time. We're gonna figure it out once we get a little bit closer.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. But no. We listen. We want you there's so much. We've got the Ghostbusters Afterlife podcast as well on 319. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire reaction and review live. And I don't know if I've told Scotty this, but my parents will be here the day, like on the day that Ghostbusters Afterlife, or excuse me, Frozen Empire comes out.
No way.
I told them, so they'll probably be here. I'll probably have to be like, look, you guys can stay out there. I'm gonna go in there, and I apologize for any naughty words that you hear leaving my mouth, my body, because I'm in such awe, hopefully, and not anger.
You will be.
But I'm gonna be a happy camper that day.
Be so happy.
It's gonna be kind of crazy. It's gonna be like kind of like taking it back to basics for me. Because like with Afterlife, I didn't get to see it with my parents the first time. I watched it by myself and then went down for Thanksgiving like a couple weeks later, and we went to the theater and saw it when I was down with them, but I had seen it already. So my first viewing, gonna watch it with mom and dad, who dragged me to the theater in 1989 as a 3-year-old to watch Ghostbusters 2.
How incredible.
It's going to be incredible. And I don't know, like maybe never mind. I'm going to back up off of that. I was going to say like, oh, maybe we'll put them on mic for a second and say like, be like, hey, how was it? But there's no way, because I don't know what it looks like to you guys. There is just enough room for me in the chair behind the desk. And also, I don't think my parents, I love them to pieces. Guys, if you're watching or listening, you're not. But I don't think you're mic ready. I don't think we're mic ready there. So
Jerry.
I'm just saying.
Kevin.
Oh, Jerry.
Kevin.
Let me play with that tassel.
Listen, that's a reference only me and Scotty will get.
Hey, so I will say this.
Anyway,
you were born in 87. Okay.
Yes.
And you were lucky enough to see Ghostbusters 2 in theaters at a very young age. Right?
Yeah, I was so young. I just have like memories of like what I have memories of is the eyes of the statue shooting like the energy into the other dude. But I remembered it as like a statue or something. It was like I was 3 years old, so I had a toddler brain that was just like I mean, it was I don't know, it was like being high.
So wait, how did
but I barely remember that I saw it.
But how did Ghostbusters 84 come into your existence then?
So my gateway drug was the real Ghostbusters, which was the cartoon, and then of course the toys and Ecto Cooler that my mom bought for me and like just absolutely let me just douse myself in that shit. Again, like the 1980s parents didn't like they cared, but they didn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
It's like it's so 1980. The consumerism was absolutely just fucking insane.
Of course,
back in the 80s and 90s. But I mean, it still is, but it was different back then. It it felt more pure, I guess. But anyway, so 1984 Ghostbusters, I think that we might have rented it one time or here, this is for real. You're going to love this.
And I was going to show the people watching this real quick. This is what the Ecto Cooler looked like. Here's like an actual visual.
Well, and now mine was more of the 90s version. This was like I think the one that came out like after 1984 or something. This thing was around for a long fucking time, almost 10 years. That drink was around.
Wow.
We'd have to look at the exact run. We'd have to look at the run. But I had it in the second iteration where it didn't have the oranges on the back. It had like the yellow, the classic yellow that it's got now. And then like Slimer on it. But anyway, you're gonna love this. I got the original VHSs, or it was like a re-release in like a gold like clamshell case with the original cup like black plain, just like Ghostbusters No Ghost logo. For Easter, I forget what year, but it was in my Easter basket from the Easter Bunny.
And you remember it?
and that's when I got that one year, and then I think I got Ghostbusters 2 another year. And so yeah. So that's, I think, when I don't quote me on it. I think that's when I originally saw the 1984 one. It was I actually watched it there.
Wow.
And it was kind of a crazy experience. You know,
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about, like, I was a little bit of a sheltered child.
Mhm.
I was. It sounds like I wasn't. But, like, you know, like, my parents weren't into horror movies and things like that. And so Ghostbusters, you know, watching it, I think I told you a little bit while we were watching this movie. When I was a kid, it was a movie that I wanted to watch, but, like, I had, like, that little kid trepidation of, like, oh, this is, like, it's got some scary stuff in it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I wanted to watch it, but, like, I had to work myself up to it because, like, it creeped me out a little bit. Some of the parts with the ghosts and the monsters and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, what was your
So I was gonna say,
original
for
with the
me,
1984 one?
For me, I was a kid who, and this is a little bit more insight into me as a person, and I think Jerry probably knows this, but, like, I've always been very interested in 80s culture because of a few things that my dad exposed me to and my mom exposed me to when I was young. And, like, I had watched Alien, I had watched Aliens, I had watched a lot more of the hardcore, like, 80s Predator. Like, I watched a lot of stuff that was, like, way more intense at a young age, like at like 6 or 7 or 8. But
that's the stuff my cousins watched.
See, and that's the thing. My dad didn't hold anything back, but it was weird.
Insane. That's
because
awesome.
I adjacently knew Ghostbusters, and I did not watch it till I was really in high school, which is weird to say. When streaming and things like, I don't know, like Redbox. I don't know if you had Redboxes in Arkansas, but, like, the Redbox machine. Oh my god,
everywhere in my
town.
town.
Oh my god, dude!
Every come go and like a Walmart,
CVS,
everywhere,
Walgreens.
everywhere. Yes,
yeah,
everywhere.
Dude. So I remember getting it. They had, I think, one of those double feature ones. I think it was both.
Those were just hot right then.
Oh
yeah.
So I had gotten that, and I'm not kidding. I put it in my PS2, and this is, like, beyond the PS2 era. This is, like, in 2012, like an early streaming era. And I watched Ghostbusters 1, and I watched it with the same lens that I watched Ferris Bueller, Breakfast Club. I watched it as a period piece because it really was a capturing of that era with the 80s, you know? And it is this weird cultural zeitgeist. Very much it is a snapshot of, like, how people dressed and functioned. It's the moment. Tortured Poet Society.
Tortured Ghostbuster Society.
No,
Toasted Marshmallow Society.
I watched it, and then things became iconic. Like, it was always a shirt in Target. You know what I mean? There was an iconography that I fell into its existence. I knew it was there. I knew it was something I could watch. I was very much aware of the things with this movie and the lore behind it, the song, but I was never someone that was raised into it. And you have what, like, you know, people, contemporaries like Nick and Pete and Chris and Dan, they kind of grew up with that movie as it came out. You know what I mean? Like, 84 was, like, kind of their time to see it. Whereas with us, it was a little past that time. And for you, you were almost that sweet spot because you were watching the cartoon.
Second wave.
I was like, wave.
I was the perfect mark for this shit.
Yes, you really were.
Like seriously, from the birth canal, I was just slipping and sliding in ectoplasm. I mean,
that's
it's just, like, insane. It was that's a bad way to put that. That was a bad way to put that. That's how I came out. Just covered in goo. But yeah, no, I like, it's absolutely insane, man. And like, I don't think I've ever told you this too. I don't know if you can tell. I'm not a very athletic person, right?
Same.
I went to a Christian school. My parents paid for me to go to a private Christian school, like a little one. Most of my life, but for some reason in 4th grade, for one semester, the first semester, I went to a public school out in the country where my cousin's wife LaDonna worked. Right? Okay, she was she was going to be my English teacher. Okay,
yeah.
Hated my whole experience. It was fucking insane. I was a weak little bitch boy.
You were shell shocked
and everything.
Of course,
I was shell shocked because I went from the Christian school to that, and, like, I mean, honestly, if I would have stayed there, it probably would have been good. I should have done that.
Yeah.
But neither here nor there. One day in PE,
Oh no.
the PE teacher, she comes out and she goes, "Okay, we're gonna play a game today. It's called we're gonna play Ghostbuster tag." I'm like, "What the fuck?" And she brings out. I'm like, but can you imagine little me?
Dude, you're like,
this is the best fucking day of my life.
This exists.
Dude, I've tried to recreate this, and I swear to God, I have the basic rule set in my mind. If we ever have a fucking meetup of like a huge like Bombad con, we're playing goddamn Ghostbuster tag. But listen, here this is, and I'm like, I don't know if this is something for anyone else or if she created this PE teacher. If
You
she
have to
did,
figure who out this lady was. You have to
remember
email
who
her.
the fuck. I can't remember. I can't remember. I've got to, but like. I remember nothing because I wanted to blank it out because like this is the place also where I think I've told the story where like the popular girl like made fun of like was like barking at me and my friend for playing in their area, and I got mad and was gonna jab a stick at the air behind her, but she wasn't far enough away, and I poked her in the back with a stick, and she smacked the shit out of me, which was justified. I deserved that because I did poke her in the back with a stick.
But dude, you could have played tag with her. You could have played Ghostbusters.
But listen to this. But I did because she was in the class. But listen, so there were rings. There were little rings, and there were little like gossamer like handkerchiefs. And if you got one of the handkerchiefs, you were a ghost. If you got a ring, you were a Ghostbuster, and everyone else was the citizens. And the ghosts would tag the citizens, and they had to freeze. And the Ghostbusters would go between their legs, like freeze tag, like go under their legs or something to unfreeze them. And that's how. And there might have been some portion. There was, and I swear to God, she was playing the music too while we did this. I swear to God.
No way.
I swear to God. And I think there was like a musical chairs element that I'm trying to remember how it worked. Where like you had to all stop when the music stopped or like or the ghosts and the Ghostbusters switched or like. And I think if you tagged a ghost, the ghost was out or something. If you were a Ghostbuster. It was like I was. Oh my God! We did that once, and I think it was for Halloween. And I'm like, there is like, never in my life has there been such a thing burned into my memory. I can't believe I haven't talked to you about this yet.
I bet your sweet little face. I can see little because I've seen photos of you. Like I bet you were like Ghostbusters.
I was like, I want to be a Ghostbuster. I can't remember if like I got to be a Ghostbuster or not, but I was like. You gotta let me do it. You don't understand. You gotta let me do it. You know,
dude. Jerry, you text me the name of the school. I'm going to find every way to get you in contact.
It's Oak Grove Elementary in Oak Grove, Arkansas, close around Paragould, Arkansas, and she would not be there anymore.
No, I'm sure she isn't. But like.
I think they got consolidated. It was a small school, so there was a lot of consolidation down there, like in the intervening years, like when I was in high school and everything. So that school might have gotten like consolidated with another one. I'll talk to my cousin LaDonna and see if she like remembers. But or if I don't think we got a yearbook because I don't think we got a yearbook. She might have a yearbook. I didn't get a yearbook because. I was there for one semester and was a crying little bitch.
So I think I found it.
That one beautiful day. That day, and then the day that they brought the goddamn. There was a house, a little house that these firefighters would bring to the different schools where you got to practice crawling under smoke and everything. Like if your house caught on fire, and for some reason that was fucking fun. But anyway,
hold on. I have to ask you. Was the mascot a hornet or some sort of bee?
I, for the love of God, can't remember. Is it Oak Grove, Arkansas? Oak Grove Heights?
Oh, Oak Grove Elementary now. And I believe it's in Arkansas. What I found is, this is so fascinating. Little Rock? Is it in Little Rock, Arkansas or no?
No. It would be farther up north.
So what part again? Paragould?
Paragould, Arkansas.
Okay, I found it. Oh, no. I totally found it. But get the facts about Oak Grove. Okay, integrity, pride, and excellence. Oh, this just makes my day. Oh, you can like look at their lesson plans, dude. If I can find fucking Ghostbusters tag in their lesson plan. Oh my
There's no
God.
way. I'm telling you that this
I'm
is just
telling
lost to
you.
time. It's lost to time. Aside from
No.
if it still exists in that family, or in my Ghostbusters obsessed kid brain and everything.
Dude.
And I want to bring it back. I want to bring it back. So that's what that is now the job of this podcast is bringing back Ghostbusters tag. Ghostbusters tag is coming back in a big way, kids. All right. Scotty and I are gonna listen. Scotty, can I come down to your school? We'll play fucking Ghostbusters tag. You need to become the PE teacher.
Hold on. Oh my God. This is
way.
real shit. Hold on, wait. This is not real. Hold on.
What'd you find?
Apparently is a real thing.
It's a real fucking game?
Hold on.
I mean, I know it's a game. I played it. I played this game. No way. No way.
Sorry, audio listeners. There's a thing called Ghost.
Yeah, we're gonna show this on a stream. We're gonna have to show this on a stream.
Here's how you play Ghostbusters. In this Halloween tagging game, if you're holding on to a pool noodle, you're a Ghostbuster, and your job is to tag everybody in the playing area. If you get tagged, you turn into a ghost, and you have to sit down with your legs crossed, and you're glued to the floor. Only your hands can move so that you can try to tag others. If you tag someone, you get to get back up, and you're back in the game. If you get tagged by a ghost, you have to turn into a ghost.
Maybe this was one of the kids with me or something, and he can't remember. That's not how we played it though. Honestly, I loved the way that we played it there, but it was more chaos. It was more just like it was absolute insanity. Kids running around, the Ghostbusters song playing.
20 minutes. 20 minutes on Ghostbusters tag. Sorry. This is so
I knew you would love this. It's like a memory for me. I mean, honestly, it's not even an unlocked memory. It's a memory that's always been there and will come back periodically. And like, man, I gotta fucking bring back Ghostbusters tag. So now it's on record.
I'm gonna teach my
goal.
My physical education teacher at school Ghostbusters.
I think we should. And again, that guy's rules are lame. You're a ghost. You can sit down on the floor and wave your arms. Fuck you, dude. No. Give me a gossamer handkerchief. I'm gonna run around and try to freeze the hell out of people. Okay.
Oh my God.
Hey, it works with Frozen. She predicted Frozen Empire. What the hell? Who was
Dude?
this woman? I gotta find this woman. This is fucking insane. Anyway, Ghostbusters 1984, y'all. A great film.
So, impact, right? And this what we've been talking about is quite literally the impact of this movie, because
cultural, it's huge.
I want you to say your piece right here, because you had saw some things on Twitter that actually I had not seen the red in your eyes since Ghostbusters tag. the veins pop out in your skull. And you were like, it's always been a franchise. It's always been a series. But yeah, you had this
I get a visceral reaction to something. I mean, I just saw someone post about this on Twitter before we got back on here. Like, what if not about Ghostbusters, but just about when you have such an emotional connection to a film and someone shits on it, you have enough wherewithal to know like it's just a movie, it's all that and stuff. But they were like, how do you overcome that? Like, because I get a visceral reaction. This person said, I need to a message back to them, be like, oh, you're not the only one. Because it happens to me too. And I think a lot of it for me is just, and we covered it a little bit in the Frozen Empire trailer discussion, but I'll reiterate what I said there just a little bit here. When you have someone or people saying like, oh, why are they trying to turn this into like a superhero franchise, things like that, which again, I think we've talked about how it has superhero tendencies, but this is not a superhero franchise at all. But it is also not just a comedy.
No,
it rides. Honestly, it's probably my favorite genre of movie, which is like dumb as hell. Is the people who are funny dealing with something beyond the pale.
Yes.
Men in Black is the same kind of thing, but with
same
aliens.
premise. Yes.
You've got things like like a friend of the show, Jared Bachman Stubbs. Jared the Dark Jedi loves like Men in Black and things like that as well, like Wild Wild West, like just those crazy high concept sci-fi
oh yeah,
properties, but that also have like a sense of humor. They have a sense of levity and stuff like
and
that.
charm,
A lot of charm,
unbelievable charm. And that's the thing about this movie too, is like the real heart of it really is the actual chemistry between every actor in this movie. And like the writing is top tier. The way it's shot is top tier. It's kind of a timeless looking movie. You know what I mean? Like I had never watched it from a cinematography, kind of perspective, but I'm watching it now. I'm like, this stands up. Like nothing looks poor. You know what I mean? Nothing looks,
right,
done poorly. I think it's truly, it stands the test of time. It's 40 years old.
Yeah.
This year is
It's
40.
I know. I'm almost 40 years old. Honestly,
Yeah.
it was what that means. That's what that means, because I was born a few short years after this movie came out.
Yeah.
But no, the cinematography. It's funny because we were talking. It is clearly of the 80s, but you're right. It's got like the cinematography and everything is just it feels timeless, and it's insane when you think about the problems they had making this movie, like how they got greenlit to do this in, I think, around in the summer of 83, right? But they said, well, you can have your money as long as you get it done by May of 1984, and that was just such a like less than a year to make this movie. If you think about it, and like there's even like I've been watching documentaries about the making of these things and stuff too, trying to prepare to get a little bit of knowledge for these.
Yeah.
There was one of the production one of the production people says she was like driving home one day after like they were filming like the Stay Puffed stuff for the end, and she drove, like they were like overworked, sleeping in there, like just actually working insane ungodly hours to get shit done.
Yeah.
Sleeping on the Stay Puft costume because it was so soft and everything like that. Just different things. And she says she drove past a one of the billboards on like Santa Monica or something, she said, and it said coming at night at this date, and she said it was like 3 weeks away or something like ungodly.
Oh my
like that.
God.
And she said we hadn't shot Stay Puffed on Fire. We hadn't shot him going down the street. We hadn't shot the building exploding.
Didn't ILM work on the... What did ILM work on? Or they just do Ghostbusters 2? I don't remember.
So there were two... There was a guy from ILM, and I'm going to look up his name right now. Let me see.
Because when I had the privilege of going to Lucasfilm over the summer, I saw one of the Slimer heads, and then I saw the courtroom ghosts from 2. I don't know if they did that much work on 1. I really don't remember. I don't remember if it was... So
Richard Edlund.
Okay. Oh yeah.
He worked on, like, he was with Lucasfilm with ILM, and he left ILM to go to LA and create his own
effects company.
Effects company, and took a couple of guys. I think there was one guy who was really funny in one of these documentaries. That looks like he's got like a handlebar mustache for days. Looks like a fucking cowboy. Like he runs cattle, and said, like, he called him and asked him, he's like, hey, you said you'd let me know how it was down there. How was it down there? He's like, I don't know. What did he say, man? God damn it, I forgot the quote. He said, what are you in the market for? So he's like, well, I like to work for... He's like, I'm really into the dead presidents and stuff like that. So apparently it was pretty lucrative. So he came down and worked with him on Ghostbusters. And so, yeah, these ILM alums coming and going out on their own. And honestly, like the special effects for this, despite being completely rushed, and I mean, they were just like slapping shit together as they went, and or not slap. There was a lot of love put into it,
of course,
but just like that time crunch, as we've seen, like a time crunch and a deadline really like the more constraints you have on a project, it almost seems like, and the more that goes wrong, it almost seems like that's what creates like the most iconic things we've ever seen.
completely
Star Wars
agree.
had so many
Mhm.
hurdles to get over with George with the first one and
Yeah.
everything. Like we almost didn't have that movie. Its script was insane. The
Yeah.
script for this originally started, it was
gonna
like
ask
way in
you.
the future. Well, it like the
Really?
original treatment that Dan Aykroyd wrote, it took place way in the future. Ghostbusters were a dime a dozen apparently, and like these guys were just like some of the guys who did the profession.
Yeah.
And it just kind of followed along with just these guys that were like just the schmucks that worked the thing.
No way.
Yeah, and it was
weird.
universe expanding. It was like in space and all kinds of shit like that. I think like when they caught a ghost, it went to like this like diner on this like ethereal plane or something.
What?
It's absolutely bonkers, batshit.
I love
stuff.
that. That's awesome.
I want to get this treatment and read this and stuff like that. Like this, it's absolutely bonkers. And then they brought Harold Ramis in on it, or well, Ivan Reitman, the director, read the script, right? And he goes, I think this is a going into business story and stuff like that. I think you got these guys going into business and everything. They start this up, and that's your angle, and grounded in the real world, put it in New York. And he said, and he brought in Harold Ramis, who he'd worked with on a few movies with Bill Murray as well.
Harold Ramis did Caddyshack. He did.
I don't know if he was in Caddyshack. He was in Stripes, I believe, with Bill Murray.
Well, he had directed. No, I'm thinking of Ivan Reitman. Ivan Reitman directed a bunch of stuff too.
Ivan Reitman directed. Let's see. I think one of his first movies was Cannibal Girls.
Oh, this is it. Harold Ramis was the head writer for National Lampoon's Animal House. So he wrote Animal House. And he wrote he also wrote Groundhog Day and Year One from 2009. That's hilarious to not realize that.
Harold Ramis is a prolific writer.
Yes.
Just of comedy in general. But like these guys were all just really good writers and stuff, you know.
SNL, of course, helps, you know, the charisma and the chemistry all these characters had.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
You have to pitch stuff too, right? Like if you're one of the guys on the show, you pitch stuff too to the writers and all that. So
it's just fascinating because it's an all-star team. Looking at it now with the lens we have now, this is an all-star Hollywood bang. This is like unbelievably big actors and actresses. Like before at that point they were still big and relevant, but like listen to these names: Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, Annie Potts. You've got Rick Moranis, Sigourney Weaver. Like this
Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson. This was not always going to be. I think what they had in mind was a big movie, but I didn't think it'd be as big as they thought culturally. I don't think anyone ever into. I don't think most famous IPs go into that thinking that could be the case. But like an individual, its own lore, like this is not like Star Wars where you have the fallback of, well, and even in 77 it didn't have any fallback, but like this is 84. This is like post. This is during Indiana Jones. This is post Star Wars. This is during the E.T. Spielberg era. You know what I mean?
They were even talking about like how because ILM was working on Temple of Doom. So they couldn't use ILM. That's why they went with this guy who had come from ILM. It's just like all the serendipitous stuff that happens to get to this point is just, again, like I'm not for putting people under stress and things like that. Stressful work conditions. But at the same time, like you've got this, the pressure creates these, diamonds, which is a really cliche thing to say, but it really does. It creates these things that last the test of time.
Of course. And I think this movie does a lot of things really well, but there is a timeless nature to it. Even though it is an 80s movie, there is a timeless, like the jokes still land. And you were talking about this. There was a couple of things they could have done that was very risky and very 80s, but they didn't. There was that scene where Sigourney Weaver's character, Dana, is possessed by a ghost. And, you know, at one point, Bill Murray's character has like a chance to like score, like literally, like that's all this character wants is
Well,
development.
she's trying
Yes.
because he's like the whole point of the whole thing is the gatekeeper and keymaster. Guess what those stand for? Penis and vagina. And so they're trying to do sex magic to bring this god back to our plane of existence. This is insane. How did this get made? But anyway, yeah, we were talking about how that scene plays. Like you could have so easily taken it a step too far.
Yep.
And it would feel these days, you know, like that's kind of
hell.
There's
a lot
of
of Empire. There's scenes in Empire that I'm like, ooh, like the making out in the Falcon little corridor, like that whole scene, or you know, like lay up.
And not that this is free from, like, there's still some things, you know, like the way he's trying to score with that college girl or whatever. Is again products,
but it's not offensive. It's not disgusting. It's not.
He never does it in like a force yourself way, and like that was what was impressive about that scene with he has the little joke about like he's like, I usually make it a rule not to get involved with dead people or with possessed people, and she kisses him and he goes, he's really more of a guideline, and he's like, oh, why not? No. And then he like, which again played for laughs and things like that, but at the same time it could have gone so much farther, or it could have gone even a step farther and been a little like weird wacko, like
a little far
Bill Cosby shit. And he does drug her later, but just to like calm her down because she was floating above the bed, and then he leaves. But just like and again, I'm not going to defend Bill Murray's actual interactions with women on sets, stuff like that. I'm not going to defend the man. But you know, in the movie, the character of Peter Venkman, a little pushy, but still respects he respects boundaries. He respects boundaries.
But there's this characterization that, like, for me personally, you can identify with almost every character in this movie. If you're a nerd that likes this sort of paranormal stuff, you've got Venkman, you know, you've got Egon, you've got these characters that also feel a little timeless. You've got the nerd, then you've got the geek, which the nerd and the geek are two very different things. You know what I mean?
Very different.
And then you've got they just kept calling him a scientist, but you've got, I would say, the more laid back character, Bill Murray. You've got Ernie Hudson playing more of the skeptic, right? Annie Potts playing more of
Ernie Hudson playing supposed to be the character for the audience to come into this, like, crazy world, and
the voice of reason
through Winston's eyes. Yeah, we're supposed to see through Winston's eyes to be like, what the hell are you guys doing? You know, out here. Anyway, but
I think this movie, in terms of its archetypes, like nailed all of it. It nailed all of it. And then you've got Sigourney Weaver, who's like the love interest, but also like very much her own person. And you it's honestly, she, if we're going to be honest, is probably the main part of the story, because you see her experience with this more so than anyone else's. There is no main character, which is nice. There's no main character. It's one of those movies.
It's an ensemble, kind of a small ensemble too. We were just talking about how like the core cast is like 8 or so people, right? It's like, it's not a huge like cast. And I love that they do keep going back to Dana. Like, we got that, you get the introduction to her, and then she goes to them, and then you see her kind of reacting to their fame and things like that.
It's cool. I love
radio. They're talking about it. It's a fun vibe. You were talking about this. We were talking about how it's just it's such a tight movie. Like, the editing is just, it's snappy. It's well paced. It's very well paced.
And I do think it's very
breakneck in a good way.
It's breakneck because it trimmed the fat. There was a lot of things that this movie could have done differently in terms of like focusing so much, because it could have been, and you know, this is one of those phrases you used to hear in like the 50s and 60s. It could have been like a creature feature, but it's not. I mean, part of it is.
It is. Yeah, it is, but it isn't.
But it's not. It's got everything I like about. it's got everything like about 80s movies, but it also has the weirdness of like a horror 80s movie. It's got like these obviously fake ghosts, but they are scary and they are played well. And some of these things, due to them being kind of crude looking, look scarier now than most modern day effects. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Slimer's kind of freaky
more
looking. Like really?
Slimer, well, and he sounds terrifying. And again, like
Yes.
they cartoonified him for the cartoon and everything.
Yeah.
And then they tried to make him more look like the cartoon in Ghostbusters 2. That's another thing you talk about. Like Slimer is just like gets plastic surgery for every damn movie he's in. But they just to have like this is like, it can act as baby's first horror movie.
Yes.
In certain ways. But it really counteracts it with the laughs and everything. And one of the most endearing things I think about Ghostbusters, and why Ghostbusters, I think, is such an important franchise and movie in our culture and everything, why it like, just like the big theme of what I think it's good for is think back to when you're a kid and your imagination runs away with itself. You're scared of if there's something under your bed. You're scared if there's something in your closet. And here comes this movie, this franchise that has these guys. And I think we've talked about this before too. You get these guys who are like, oh, we'll come and we'll catch the monsters, we'll catch the ghosts, we'll catch the scary things. We're going to put them away and things like that. Just just to have that like protection of childhood innocence and things like that, or like allowing kids to be scared, but then to kind of get that bravery of like, oh, I ain't afraid of no ghost kind of a thing. It's just like that. I think that is so special and so important for kids that were my age at the time, and then also like now my daughter will like just randomly bring up I've shown her like some cartoons and things like that. I don't think she's old enough for the movie yet, but
that's another good.
That's something that resonates with kids. It resonates so well with them. If you're of a certain age and you see this, I think it sticks with you more.
Of course. And I was going to say, watching it as a teenager for me, I loved it because I knew a lot of it. Obviously I wasn't scared of ghosts at this point, but I was very much open to the idea of ghosts and things like that.
Right.
And the idea of there being a ghost hunter fascinated me. And, there was shows for both of us growing up that were all about chasing ghosts and shit. But this one kind of put it in a more practical effect. They made it more of a blue collar job, like we talked about. It's a real career for these people. And, I think it's really important to address that this movie came out at a time when technology still hadn't really gotten in the hands of everyone, right? You were growing up in the 90s where there were computers at your library. But in 84, I mean, this is like somewhat of the dawn of home computing and home video game systems. So like this technology still felt very analog, and like the idea behind all the technology in the movie still feels very analog. And then when you watch Afterlife, you're even more like, oh, this is just there's a warmth. There's a warmth in this movie. Like it's very atomic, with like there's a nuclear reactor on your back. And I think it's such a weird, like Star Wars was in the future, but it was also in the past. Alien, the movie Alien was in the future, but it also had a very rustic look. This one's like, we're going to actually take the technology from those movies and put it in a modern day setting and use terminology that makes no sense, but it sounds convincing. Like, I wish I could explain to you. It to me, this movie has got iconography that is just so wicked. Obviously you've got the No Ghost logo, which this ghost ever really appeared, Jerry? Can you tell me this formation of a ghost ever appeared? Is it from the cartoon or no?
So in the real Ghostbusters cartoon, it starts out, it's the Ghostbusters theme song, and it's that ghost, which that ghost has a name. I don't know if you know this.
Oh no, I don't. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Don't tell you. Oh well, I mean,
you can't.
Not on anything else. Moogly.
Moogly.
Name of that ghost. I found that out just like a year ago or so. A couple of years ago. But it starts out with that ghost walking down the sidewalk, and then it like gets into the
sign.
sign.
But like, Like that
I
iconography.
don't want to say anything else because like you need to watch all I'll say is you need to watch the 2016 Ghostbusters, which we will watch before we do that episode.
Okay. I just think it's cool that the iconography was instant for this movie. You've got the jumpsuits, right? And I'll show it to you on the screen here for anyone watching.
Just
the jumpsuits,
the so mundane,
yeah.
But so iconic as well. And like I wanted the jumpsuit. I had a jumpsuit when I was a kid.
Well, there's a
I think
picture
I've
of
shown
you.
pictures and everything. Yeah. I wore that thing until I couldn't. Like honestly, the last time I wore it, like my dad and uncle were working on the carpet in my parents' bedroom, and my dad and him were wearing like their jumpsuit, you know, and everything. And so I put mine on because I'm gonna go help. And my uncle was laughing because the legs were a little short, and he picked me up and gave me a wedgie in that thing. Like he just picked me up by both sides, and I got a wedgie, and they're just like, ha, 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 ha. You know, and I got it really embarrassed and like never wore it again because like it's too little now. And I was
you've grown up.
Was so sad.
That's such a harsh coming to terms with becoming a teenager or young adult, or even like going from like
having to put things away.
Going from 6 to 9 years old that's a very surreal thing where like the clothes you wore then, the shoes you wore then just don't
You're like,
fit.
why? I remember being like, why are my toys getting smaller? I don't know if you ever like,
dude.
You like feel 100%. Like my toys shrinking?
Yeah. I think it's such a cool thing that this movie still has lasted the test of time. And honestly, even without the 2016 sequel and then, you know, Afterlife and Frozen Empire, I think this movie still would hold. I mean, you would still be able to buy that sign behind you. I think it's a classic for that reason. One thing I want to say about the iconography, like you've got their own, you know, Stay Puft character that they created. Like it just had so much, it had so many things that could have been, now, I'm not trying to say terrible, but like it could have fallen so flat, but it didn't.
Well,
it just didn't. It's impressive.
There were a lot of things that held on from Dan's first draft and stuff like, and I mean, or at least the first run through of the script with Harold. Even I can't remember I think Terror Dogs were in there from the beginning, maybe even with the space script. I'd have to look that up again. But like Stay Puft and the Terror Dogs were like a big, like, these are two things that are absolutely happening. And through every iteration of the script, the redo they did.
Yeah.
Those things stayed. And it was a thing that they were like trying to figure out as they're shooting this thing again in less than a year.
Wow.
And just to think about you're making this movie. It has come out in less than a year, and the guy who wrote it wants to have a giant marshmallow man walking around. Like Ivan Reitman was terrified that thing wasn't gonna work, that it wasn't gonna play and everything like that.
But it does. That shit's scary. You and I just watched it. There's the uncanny feeling you get when you watch it because there's an innocence. You're like, oh, this is so goofy. And he keeps saying, like, I thought of the most innocent. I thought back to as a kid and things
something that can never destroy us.
Yeah. And then it's this, like, it's like a kaiju. You know, it's this giant monster.
The face moves just barely enough that it's like it's the brows and the mouth a little bit, and I think they had a couple different heads because there's a head when it gets shot where it's like, but just to like the thought and the craftsmanship that went into this and stuff. They had to try a couple times to get the Stay Puft costume right because the first one he did, the foam was too like soft. And his legs, when they were coming together, they pushed the bottom of it together and it made it look like he had a big old vagina. And so they had to change it. They called in like someone, I think they called in some other guy from ILM, and he's like, "I'll make the body out of fiberglass." And the guy was like, "We're not going to do that." He just tried some different, like, thicker foam, and it worked. And you know, it's just like a bunch of trial and error in such a small amount of time for this thing. And it's one of those stories. It's a story I like to hear. It's a story of like Star Wars being made and stuff like that. If you love that story, the story of how Ghostbusters came to be is just as compelling. And go look up this. Again, The Movies That Made Us on Netflix has a great Ghostbusters episode. If you want just like a casual dive into it, if you want a deep dive, I'm still finishing it, but Cleaning Up the Town, fucking
What's it on?
incredible.
What's that on?
It is so you can get it on Apple or it's everywhere. It's on iTunes, it's on Amazon, just anywhere you can get movies. Look up Cleaning Up the Town, and it should be there. Clean Up the Town, Remembering Ghostbusters. So is the full title.
From this movie, are there any particular moments you want to reflect on, or something that characters you might want to bring up? Because it is a stacked movie. It is not one of those ones you watch and you go, well, that was cute. I mean, to me personally, I get a lot out of watching the movie because there is a idea of like people don't take you seriously until they need to. Yeah. And that's a very important theme, of this movie is like, no one takes them seriously. How much money are they going to make? What they're spending everything they have. The college they work for doesn't take them seriously. And then when shit goes down and they're at the end of the world, revelations, all that stuff, like you don't know how much they need them. And no, it's funnier too when you watch the Frozen Empire trailer. It's Peck that's like they claim to have saved the world, I believe. Is that what he says?
Yeah, he says these hacks claim to save the world, no eyewitnesses, which sounds like they slapped that together from two different pieces of dialogue.
Probably.
But I mean, he's still salty after all those years, which is funny. The man literally heard a voice come from the sky and got dumped, like marshmallow cream dumped on him.
That's right.
From a giant marshmallow kaiju. Yeah. Oh, yo, man, they cream pied the hell out of Walter Peck. No, I think just there's so many. What I love about Ghostbusters is that it's really funny, but it's a very, as crazy as the ghosts and everything is, it's a very human movie.
That's true.
It's a very just like the comedy in there. It doesn't come from we're writing joke. It comes from the characters.
Yeah,
which is I think a big distinction between, and we'll talk about it when we come to it, these versions and even the newer sequels compared to the 2016, which again was that like, listen, if you don't come here saying like, well, they give it to Wham and stuff like that, we don't like, just shut the fuck up. That wasn't the problem.
No,
and everything. But anyway,
my dad will disagree with you. I'm just kidding. But
so would mine. I'm just kidding. No,
but I do think you have a good point. It's never always about, like, I giggled at every line when we watched it earlier. Like I really did.
Yeah,
because I know the intention of it wasn't always to make a joke land, but the things that these characters were doing and saying are inherently funny. Like the Twinkie moment. That is actually meant to play as a very serious scene, but Egon bites into the Twinkie and he's got this like glimmer in his eye. Like you didn't have to make every joke land. It's charming. Like it's not always to make a joke land. It's always to say a line. And if as a viewer, if you get it, then maybe they had that intention.
Right.
But if you didn't, that's also okay. And it's one of those, Jerry, I think you can agree to this. Perfect kid and parent movie. Except for the blowjob scene, but other than that,
so the ghost blowjob is definitely from left field. But
yes,
go on.
Yes, that was 100% maybe a joke on set in the moment, or maybe even might have been written. I don't know, but like that was
such an elaborate set for that, though.
Yes, but even as a teenage boy in the 80s, I would have been like, oh, it's hilarious, That
he sucked his dick.
Yeah, ghost sucked Dan Aykroyd's penis, but I love that everything, for me personally, when I watch it, I get a different thing out of it each time. It just has one of those effects, and the characters are the parts that do that for me. I didn't realize how funny Tully was. I had no idea. Like I knew he was funny, but like the nuance, the subtle parts, when he lifts up the lamp and I was like, this is so absurd. I just think it's so well done.
Well, like even before he gets possessed by Vince Clortho, which again we talked about it, the most George Lucas ass name in this whole thing is the terror dog. The terror dogs are named Zool and Vince Clortho from The Top Rope. Just like it absolutely is bonkers. But no, like I didn't appreciate Lewis until I got a little older and stuff. Like,
exactly.
like oh, he's a nerdy guy. He's a nerdy guy. but when you get older, you start realizing how much comedy and how much just subtle laughs and care that Rick Moranis is putting into that. And I don't know if you know this, but John Candy was originally supposed to play that role.
What? That would have been good too, though. I'm not gonna lie.
And
That would have been really
they
good.
pulled him. See, he's even in. They did some storyboards when they're doing storyboards.
What?
When he gets possessed by the terror dog, they drew John Candy in there.
I did not know that.
You can look that up. You can look it up. But John Candy came in and he wanted to play it in this like weird way. Like I think they were saying he wanted to be like this like jerk almost, like kind of too cool for school. And like he wanted to have a German accent and have 2 German shepherds was what he was absolutely adamant. I have to have 2 German shepherds with me. And that's how he wanted to play the character. And he didn't want to play him as a nerd. And they were like, I'm sorry, John. It's not really what we're going for. And then Rick Moranis came in and kind of went more the nerd angle than what they were even thinking. And they were like, this is perfect. This is what we want.
Yeah.
This is what we need. And so, but yeah, no, John Candy was almost Louis Tully, which is insane.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool too, like the reapproach of some of these characters later. And we'll get into this with Afterlife when we discuss it, but like Afterlife very much is like a redecorating of some of these characters, like some of these iconic characters, like Tully, even Dana kind of has a redecoration through someone else, right? Like I think it's kind of cool that they are able to do that, because these archetypes aren't necessarily always the same archetypes. You know, like Egon 100% is what's her name?
Phoebe in the McKenna Grace.
McKenna Grace, yeah, like it's the most incredible like movement of that character. You know what I mean? Like because you can do those same roles but with different faces and people, and I really like that. I really like that.
And it doesn't play as like she's doing an Egon impression. It's like this is someone who has the same blood in her veins as this guy. And it's just that there's so much love and care. Yeah, even in that. But yeah, no, I just
because for those that don't know,
Afterlife
does take the same villains per se, the same spirits, and kind of throws them into the same, the idea that it's, what was the one who built the building? Fuck.
Ivo Shandor.
Shandor Mines.
Basically an Aleister Crowley type. Of like someone who, if Aleister Crowley was an actual sorcerer who actually like opened the gates of hell, that is what Ivo Shandor was. But yeah, you got Ivo Shandor who built that town that's where he got the selenium girders for the building, the apartment building.
So cool. It's
mined it from there. He's kind of the emperor of Ghostbusters.
Yes, he is. But I do like that if you were to watch 84 and then Afterlife, you really would not have to know exactly what happened in 2 or the video game, and I think a lot of people honestly may go into Frozen Empire not having seen either or not even seen the original, and it still will work.
There's a lot of I've seen some people saying like, oh, this new one's got the old people, the old cast, and it's in New York. I want to see this one.
Exactly. Whereas Afterlife was
maybe they'll go back and watch it now. Maybe they'll watch this. They'll say, I love this cast. I'll go back and watch that one. I hope. I hope. Because again, like I feel, and by the way, Ghostbusters 2 is canon still, because you see a box in the trailer that says, or in the Empire spread they did, that has a Ghostbusters 2 logo, no Ghost logo on it, and it's the hot beverage thermal mugs.
That's amazing. No way.
I think it's a great Easter egg. But anyway, you're right. But you're right. You don't have to. You don't have to. You can go into, and that's kind of, I think we talked about how it's kind of a relaxing, leisurely kind of fandom or watch or something. You can like, you don't have to completely enthrall yourself in it. You don't have to like, there's not really a complete arc and stuff that you have, or a thread that you have to follow. You don't have to see a bunch of Marvel movies, 27 movies to see this one and understand it.
Exactly.
Hey, we're here. We catch ghosts. Here we go. You know, like honestly, watch Ghostbusters 1984. Then you could probably watch any of the other sequels. You know, and not without having to watch anything in between. So,
I just love that. You know, we have the opportunity to talk about this movie, but also the franchise that this is. You know,
right.
Bombadcast has been around now for coming up on 5 years, and
Long time.
we've only truly dived into Indiana Jones and Star Wars, and the fact that we are diving into this because it is a franchise and it's not a superhero movie.
Well,
It's honestly a lot more
it's
than
a little
superhero
Star
movie.
Wars adjacent, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
sure,
got
of
like
course.
Spielberg visited the set, like I think
Yeah.
the final set of the temple and everything, like was like commenting on that kind of stuff. Spielberg visits everything. But you've got like the ILM guys working on this thing, you know, like all kinds of like weird shit, and it's just kind of a spiritual sibling to Star Wars and how it got made, in my opinion.
I think it's important too is that this, I think I said it earlier as well, but this is like coming off the high that was Star Wars. Everyone was kind of thinking what's the void after, because there was a void after Star Wars, like for special effects and big thematic movies, and this one kind of fit it in the way of like, don't take yourself too seriously, but know that this is going to be a movie that does in its own way take itself seriously. Like, this is real stuff. We're setting up real lore in this ectoplasm. We're setting up the weaponry we use. We're setting up the actual, you know, I don't know, do you have the vehicle anywhere around you? Do you have
I actually, right next to me.
Yeah,
I have Ecto, which is one of the most.
my
This is the
God.
one from Afterlife, so it's like all kind of, you know.
Yeah.
But one of the most iconic movie vehicles.
It's the same. It's the Falcon. It's the DeLorean. You got to think, literally, Back to the Future
was Falcon, the DeLorean, and this. For me.
The DeLorean was 1 year after this. So you got to think the next big cultural zeitgeist movie was Back to the Future in '85. So like you've got so many really impactful, you know, franchise, I guess, generating movies that probably was not the intention of Dan Aykroyd. He's not that kind of guy.
Right.
You know, George was set out to make a mythological story, where Dan Aykroyd, I think, just wanted to make a movie that, like, I guess, procured all of his interest. You know?
Well, yeah, because he had made a few films up to this point, you know, Blues Brothers and things like that. And he talks about in some interviews and stuff how, you know, I kind of came to this and I thought, you know, why? He's like, I'm to the point now where I can kind of include a little bit of this family history of mine. Because we've talked about it a couple of times, but Dan Aykroyd's family, his grandfather was a spiritualist. His father, like, they had extensive notes on that, or his uncle or something. One of his relatives from back in the day was around during the spiritualist movement. If you know what that is, if you don't know what that is, kids, go look it up. It was everyone in America and all over the world was interested in the in specifically the afterlife.
Yes,
and thought they could scientifically prove it in around it was like the end of the 1800s, beginning of the 1900s. And just look up the spiritualist movement. It's a great deep dive. It's just a great little rabbit hole to go down. But anyway, Dan's relatives were involved in that. And then his dad wrote a book about the spiritualist movement and ghosts. And just his family were just always believers in the spiritual and the paranormal. And just to grow up in that soup. And then to have, he said, I wanted to, is the perfect time to make one of those ghost comedies, like those comedies with guys who catch ghosts from back a long time ago, was like I forget who, like all these like comedians back in the 50s were making these ghost comedies. He said do that, but with the actual science that had come forward through that, you know, like
so interesting.
The people who were studying that.
Like
you can balk or laugh at calling it a science, but just like I love Dan's got to be on cloud 9 on this side of things.
Oh, 100%.
Ghostbusters becoming what he always wanted it to be.
100%.
It has been for a long time, but to have like that resurgence of it all the way in 2024, just like I'm glad that he gets to see it. You know,
me too, of course. And for those that don't know, when we'll get to it as well, I'm just gonna pull the schedule back up. This will be dropping. This will be dropping not this week. Well, when recording it the following week. But the reason why I'm saying that is because when we get to like the game, on Pi Day 314 in about a month from now, like I'm so excited to talk about that because he wrote that one. Like he didn't just collaborate. He wrote all of these things. He had a direct hand.
He
Besides
and Harold.
What about the cartoon? The cartoon, did he have any? Was he an executive producer or anything?
I'd have to look it up. I think it was a completely different team.
Yeah. Okay.
They got like kind of like every little things like that. Which again, like I think we talked a little bit about how they were talking about how they got inspiration from the real Ghostbusters cartoon for the new movie that's coming out, which excites me to no end. But you had the guys who were like voicing characters and writing that show going like, why didn't you talk to us? It's like, guys,
come on now.
It's their baby. I mean, like they're mentioning real Ghostbusters.
You are
Ghostbusters is the prize.
Yeah.
Like it's like that cool guy. And again, like all respect to them, like they created my childhood. But it plays like the Joker guy from the upset that Rockstar used his face, and it's just like, I mean, look, like I don't think they were trying to like cut you guys out of anything, but at the same time, what kind of story credits? I think you should put the Grundle in here, which is an actual bad guy from that show, the Grundle. Don't Google it. If you spell it wrong, it'll come up as something else. So just putting that out there, kids. That's my disclaimer for the Grundle. That is an actual villain from the real Ghostbusters.
The Grundle,
one of the best, honestly. But no, it's an unfortunate name.
That's a very unfortunate name.
Anyway,
is there anything else you really want to? Is there anything else you really want to deep dive on?
I think I just want to maybe we should end on like what our top, like what's the moment in the movie that sticks out the most? Look, what is your favorite moment from this? And maybe we should end on our favorite moments.
I love that. I think for me personally, when we talked about it, we talked about it when we were watching it, and because you said you want this to happen in the new one, I love a good montage. And in the 80s,
oh hell yeah,
in the 80s, there is an energy about montages that we don't really see.
Yeah,
like one of my favorite scenes in all of Ferris Bueller is, of course, a Twist and Shout montage. Kind of not really a montage, more of a play, but like the montage in the museum in Chicago literally makes me tear up when they're all having fun in there, and there you can see the moments of them and Cameron looking at the painting. Like montages, when done right, are super effective. And like I'm watching this going, man, this is such a capturing of the times, because I'm an archivist by trade, but I'm also at heart like a sucker for looking at old photos and watching old videos, and that within itself was such a capturing of the moment and the times. And I'm watching all these things fire off, and the part that really resonates with me the most is when you've got Larry King, and I forgot I was watching with him, like, oh my god, I forgot, because Larry King,
that was point, I loved that,
dude.
By the way,
he's at that point he wasn't a CNN host, he wasn't this household name, and now there's this legacy of Larry King. He was a radio guy in New York, and I'm watching and I'm like, God bless, it's so cool. Like they got him smoking the cigarette, shoulders, the Larry King, and I'm like, what a
some say these paranormal eliminators are the cause of it. Yeah. Oh man,
like
so good.
I love that, but I also, one of my other favorite moments is whenever Walter Peck comes and turns off the machine, and he was wrong. And it's evident that he was wrong. And like, there's so much that goes into like being a believer, and because you and I are believers in certain things,
right?
And there's so much that goes into when someone's like, no, you're wrong, you're stupid, this is not real, blah blah blah, and then they see the firsthand mistake of having that thought or having that preconception, like, there is some truth in a lot of this. And I think those are my two favorite moments, is the whole montage and like the surreal, like, actually you're wrong, like you need to believe, and of course one of my favorite things about the movie is the song. No other movie, we haven't even mentioned the song, no other movie I think
God
ever.
Damn it! What the hell are we doing?
I no other movie ever, and I mean this, has had a song that iconic that is quite literally the title of the movie. None.
Well, and has
None.
stood the test of time that you can still play at a fucking Halloween party and go, oh hell yeah,
Yes, dude. Kids love it.
Still dance to this. They could still it's still a bop, man. Like I love it. I love it to pieces.
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Ray Parker Jr. There's a documentary out about him, and it's amazing because he was a studio musician.
Oh, and he just that. Yeah.
Dude. Holy shit.
He's in all the documentaries that I've watched too. Like because that's part of it is that the song, like dude, he didn't come up with the actual lyrics of the song until like a day before or something. It's he couldn't crack it. He couldn't crack it. We'll talk a little bit about this on the soundtrack show we're gonna do.
I never realized this.
He was trying to track. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say I didn't know it hit #1 for 3 weeks.
It won the Oscar, didn't it? Or like a Grammy or something.
Let's see. Yes, it won. Oh my god, it was nominated. It was nominated for the 57th Academy Awards for Best Original Song, but it lost to Stevie Wonder's "I Just Called to Say I Love You," which is a great song. It was up against a huge song. That's crazy. I have this at the 45. Same time,
it's almost arguable that Ghostbusters
more iconic
is a more recognizable song to more people, which is insane. I know, probably insane for me to. That's probably my Ghostbusters brain talking, but he didn't have. He couldn't figure out how the hell do you sing Ghostbusters? Yeah. That's like the worst thing in the world to try to rhyme anything. You can't, and he couldn't think of anything. And then he finally clicked with them. I think he might have saw that they did a commercial or something for the movie. Like in the movie, they make a commercial like Ghostbusters. We're ready to believe you. And he's like, it's the jingle for a commercial. That's when it hit him. And then he goes, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters and stuff, which is like, it's such a brilliant conceit for a song. It's still so like I will listen to that when it's not Halloween.
Oh, dude, it honestly makes me a little emotional when I hear that song, which is crazy. That is a crazy thing to say.
So many things
because it's like this.
Feel a lot of things.
Because it is a part of the 80s zeitgeist. Like when you, what was it, Stranger Things season 2? And like that's part of the whole bit is that for Halloween they go out and they're Ghostbusters.
They're the Ghostbusters. And I love, oh man, that whole thing where they're like, but I'm Vinkman, like between and it's like, well, but I thought you would be what?
Winston? Winston.
Such a great man, and that shows you like this isn't just that was a kind of good comedy or something that came out in the 80s. Like this was something that really made an impact. It's something that inspired the generation of filmmakers that are making films right now. It absolutely captured people's imaginations. There was a quote in one of these documentaries of people like someone like watched a movie and said, what's this movie that Spielberg didn't do this? Like what is this? Because up till then, the blockbusters had been Spielberg's, Lucas's,
Lucas,
it's like, it had been those guys. Yeah. And here comes like out of left field, these guys from SNL and Ivan Reitman who did like sex comedies, basically.
Crazy.
Making this special effects ridden comedy, action, adventure, sci-fi horror, whatever you want to call it.
Unbelievable.
And here we are to this day.
Well, what was your favorite moment? Your favorite moment before we end this?
Oh, right. Oh God, it's hard to pick.
Impossible.
Because again, it's all because like the whole movie is just like part of my DNA.
Yeah.
But I mean, any scene with Rick Moranis is absolutely God tier. I love it to pieces. We talked about it. Bill Murray is the king of reactions. Just like reactions to the lines people said. That's a lot of the humor too, is just like a character's reaction to what someone says.
Exactly.
Silently. And watching these documentaries, I was amazed to find out how much of this was riffed, which makes sense now when you think about Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, all the scene in the mayor's office is just iconic. It's great. Might be one of my favorite moments of the whole movie, where you got them coming in. Peck is there too, trying to talk them down, and they end up taking the side of the Ghostbusters, the guys who are like, it's a god, which they're right. But it's so funny that like they go like, we're gonna go with them instead of this guy who's like trying to take them.
Yeah, exactly.
But you got like the whole, like all of that was like ad lib and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
that was like
So
not
crazy.
100% the script. They were like riffing the whole time. So the
God, that's
dogs and cats living
crazy.
together, mass hysteria. Who you gonna believe, us or dickless over here? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
no
Well,
dick.
that's what I heard. All of that is just, it's so good. But if I have to like narrow it down to one thing, and I know I've said like 500 things, the end, like when they pull up to go to the apartment building, there's the people all around. I love those scenes of them getting out. I get chills. It brings chills to my body.
Yeah.
I tear up a little bit when they're like going out and they're like Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters, Ghost. They're there like people are like, man, things are going crazy around here. They're here to save us. They think they almost die, and they come out and they're like, they're here, they're still, yeah, and they go crazy again. They go crazy when they come back down. Man, there's nothing that beats that feel. Like that just is like so much like pure energy, electricity in that scene. It feels alive. It feels alive.
It does feel alive. And I think it's cool to say, like, when we were watching it moments ago, like literally an hour ago, we were like, how great is it? The movie just ends. Like it's not this weird, it's not like a weird cut to black, you know, dramatic.
Right.
Like it rolls the credits, Slimer comes and it goes to the credits. It's like I just love how
the Bus Boys. Yeah.
It takes itself seriously, but the same exact time, not too seriously. Like it knows what it wants to be.
With a grain of salt. It's like Dan was the perfect person to work on this. And then you bring Harold to kind of like rein him in a little bit.
Yeah.
It's perfection because Dan has that knowledge again of that pseudoscience of ghost, just like the science that people had come up with around spiritual things and the paranormal and things like that. It's just absolutely, but like, so you have that groundedness, but again, it is like that, like we'll joke around and stuff like that. But anyway, absolutely
love this movie.
Again, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's always going to be that way. And
for those that haven't seen
I hope
it,
I hope you have to watch.
It's an hour and 45 minutes. It's almost as long as this podcast is. Like it really, it's like
you don't have to watch anything else either. Just
no.
Ghostbusters. If you haven't seen Ghostbusters, it's one of the best. It seriously is one of the top films of all time. It's on the Criterion list, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it is. It might be even. I think it might even. Is it in the American Library? Hold on. What's it called?
It might be the Library of Congress.
Library of Congress. Yeah. Hold on. Movies.
Well, part of the film takes place in a library, so it's possible.
That's Oh yeah, the complete National Film Registry. Hold on. I'm gonna look up if Ghostbusters. Oh, it's not in alphabetical order. I think it's an order of release.
Ooh, okay.
I don't think it's in there. That's a shame. Oh no, it's not. Let me see. I'm gonna look up Ghostbusters. Yes, dude, it is. It was inducted in 2015. It is recommended. Yeah. It is recommended. The complete National Film Registry listing. Ghostbusters is in there out of like, I think it's like right around like 200 movies. So it's just crazy to think like that is one of the. It is going to be preserved. It's one of those movies that stands the test of time. And it will. I'm sure. I'm honest to God. There's all these things like, you know, movies that are like stored in a vault somewhere that are like, you know, after a nuclear holocaust, they would still exist. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ghostbusters is one of those movies that I think
Ghostbusters is in there.
If culture found that, you know, future civilizations found that and they found some way to watch it. I mean, it's brilliant. It's one of those movies that really does reflect a time period. It really does reflect what I don't know, what is an inherently charming movie and a real good reflection of the human condition. It just is. Absolutely. It does all of that.
Go watch it. Go watch it. And in fact, we'll give you guys.
Oh yeah.
We'll give you digital codes. I need to be careful not show that on the screen. Someone can screenshot that. But listen, go watch Ghostbusters and follow along and listen. If you're here, you're just enjoying the conversation. I'm glad you're here too.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming along on this. And man,
we did it.
I'm just gonna keep talking about Ghostbusters, man. What about that scene on the bridge with Ray and Winston when they're talking about
best.
Ray? Do you believe in God? That's such a deep moment. Anyway,
that's a deep moment,
Scotty.
Yeah, I love you, and I love that we can talk about this. And of course, we'll keep hyping it up. Literally, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, February 27th. We're talking about Ghostbusters 2 as a live discussion, literally in 2 days. So if you want to go back and forth, and to my knowledge, 2 is more of Jerry's favorite movie as well. Am I mistaken? Don't you like 2 more?
I think that it's an underappreciated film.
I didn't watch 2 until I was an adult. Like literally, I think you and I may have watched together a couple years ago. I'm almost positive, or you may have been like a catalyst for me to watch it because I had never seen it.
Right.
Honestly, I think I had watched it leading up to Afterlife because I watched 2 and then I watched all of the cinematics and gameplay from the 2009 video game.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah,
you wanted to be ready, and no. So listen, we're gonna get you ready for Frozen Empire, guys. We're just gonna get you hyped. You should still watch the films and watch the films with us, guys. Watch the films with us. The Bombadcast Ecto Countdown. I'm having a blast already.
I'm so excited.
I'm having an Ecto meltdown over here, so I don't know what that means.
Oh man, God, I don't know what we can say besides plugging a few things. Yeah, we've got next, literally for the next month, Ghostbusters stuff. I know I said at the top of the show we're gonna have a discussion on 2, the music, Lost Media, the 2016 all female cast version, woke rainbows. Then we're gonna talk about the game 2009 Afterlife as well, and then of course our immediate reactions with Jerry's parents on Frozen Empire.
My parents on mic that night. No,
Ellen.
Oh man, if I had the I need the road mic. I need the road mic.
The road go.
Mail that to me. Mail that to me, and I'll sit on the couch with my parents for that. So follow along with that. We're also going to be covering Dune and Bad Batch, so don't worry.
Of course, we're going to figure that out. That'll come in.
We're going to squeeze it in somehow.
Because I will be at Beta Convention next week when Bad Batch airs, and I'm going to be like my poor coworker that's going to be sharing a room with me. I'm like, sorry, you're going to have to go do something for like the next hour and a half. Tell the kids
I've got to watch these 3 space cartoons that are dropping on a Wednesday night.
Or a Wednesday morning. We don't know yet. Disney. They haven't said if it was a Wednesday night or a Wednesday morning, did they?
I think it's evening, but like
Disney, Star Wars, Disney Wars. Blah.
Disney has ruined Ghostbusters yet again.
Disney has wokeified Ghostbusters.
Anyway, I'm Scotty Gerry. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, if you're listening, my midi-chlorians video essay has dropped.
Yes.
So go and watch that. That is so freaking exciting. 2 hours flat. You're gonna put it in a car. A podcast version is gonna drop too. It's perfect for podcasts. I've been listening to it recently just to make sure quality control.
This will get you to the lake and back, guys.
That's right.
Absolutely. Listen, this is your soundtrack for sure.
Yeah.
I know Scotty put a lot of work into this.
It's awesome.
Soul, like blood, sweat, and tears. I'm excited to check it out myself. Just go support all that kind of stuff. Support all the stuff we do. We would love if you do that. This is not a video. I guess like the video version of this and subscribe. Subscribe also on wherever you get your podcasts. A pretty pesky poltergeist says dance the night away with a few ladies who witnessed the disturbance. Go check out our stuff. Hey, why don't you go leave a review on iTunes for this show so we can kind of go up in the rankings and stuff like that, because who wouldn't want to hear this in name drivel? Everyone does.
I know. Everyone does.
We love it. We love you. Follow Scotty at the Scott Gerry on most social medias. Follow me at the Canon Junkie. Follow the Bombadcast at Bombadcast.
And what should we do? I'm gonna let you do it today.
Oh, you should stay bombad. I'm flying at the Slimer, flying at the screen. Flying at it.